Dearbhla Walsh, director of Bad Sisters, Anu Valia, director of Big Door Prize, Olivia Newman, director of The Last Thing He Told Me, and Liz Patrick, director of Saturday Night Live. Incredible group of directors here. This is our roundtable segment. I guess I just wanted to start just a very broad question, but what's your favorite part about being a director, or something that you really enjoy about this profession? Dearbhla, I'd start with you and we could go around.
I think I've probably got two favorites. One is feeling the fear between that first read and knowing that whatever you think after the read, your life is going to be affected in some way for the next 6 months, a year, and in some cases forever if it's really good, unless it's one of those you want to disappear. And that you continue, you build on that fear, because you always have to remember that first feeling you had, that virgin read of the script, the bit that made you laugh, the bit that moved you, the bit. So through the process and endless takes, that you can remember that was funny, or remember, like in Bad Sisters, I remember the feeling of the first moment I realized this character is dark, when the prick stops her going swimming with her family on Christmas Day, and that I wanted him not to see the darkness, that he'd just be your irritating uncle until then. So that's the first thing I love about it, just the fear all the way from start to end, and how you kind of be creative with that fear. And the second thing I love is the collaboration. I just love I love working with the team, like the DOP and designer, and the icing on the cake is the actors. Working on the floor, you've prepped everything, you've had all the feelings, you know what you want to do, and then you're with the actors, and one of them does something that goes, oh my God, that is brilliant. That's better than I thought, and that's the bit that it's like the magic of I find directing, being open to that and coming home and going, today I just, I always compare it to bungee jumping. Like if you fall with a noose around your neck and you stop there, or if you bungee jump and go, and then you go, when your head hits the water and you bounce back up, and it's that kind of feeling in your stomach of oh, I thought I was going to die, I'm not dead, oh, I'm going to die, is like the creative feeling of a take that makes you tingle. So that's what I love.
That's awesome. Anu, how about you?
That's so true. You put that so well. The bungee jumping, the leaping, the fear, everyone kind of grasping hands together and just leaping together. It feels like falling in love. And I agree. I feel like the times whenever you're working with an actor and you're kind of sitting behind your monitors, and you just see the actor giving so much of themselves, there are those moments, and there's just, I'm sure you guys have all felt it, you're just watching these actors be so present, and in that way they're asking you to be incredibly present with them. And there's such a spiritual connection that's happening when you're just kind of watching an actor allow themselves to just be completely open. And it's so vulnerable, and it's such a gift that I feel like as directors, we're so lucky to receive that, and we're so lucky to watch them do that, and then to get to go over to them and be like, oh, I'm going to try something like this when they're in this vulnerable state. And to be able to play in that zone is such a gift. When else do you get to do that in life? And so yeah, I find myself, I cry all the time behind the monitor, even if it's not a sad scene. And it's such a, when else do you get to ask somebody, please be incredibly present with me, and I will do the same with you. And it's, God, that feeling never gets old. And it's a great gift to get to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Olivia, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is all, I would agree with all of it. I mean, I write and direct, and I find writing to be absolute torture because I just miss being with people. I love the collaboration with, brilliant artists and, in every department bringing forth their ideas. And that can come from anybody. It can come from a great idea that a PA has, in the moment, just being open to the best idea wins, and yet also sort of feeling like you're the captain of this crazy ship that at any moment could sink. Having that adrenaline rush, is absolutely, I think, the addictive quality. And then working with actors. I mean, I think if you don't, I don't know why you would do this job if you don't absolutely love actors. They're just, seeing something come to life from the page and then suddenly take this three-dimensional complexity that, you had imagined it in your head and then suddenly comes to life in this other way is just, there's something kind of spiritual and magical about it, isn't there?
Liz, how about you? What do you think?
I like that you started with fear. I'm like, wait, you guys have fear? I just thought it was live television. So I found that really cool, really cool. Yeah, fear is a part of it, but I love collaboration. I love every Wednesday. I love when the writer reading their scripts and just seeing what they've dreamed up over the weekend. And sometimes sometimes you don't understand it. Sometimes it needs to be explained, or sometimes it just hits home and you're like, wow, this is a really cool idea. And so I just love bringing those things to life and trying to add something to it or lead it in a direction that makes it perfect. And then the other departments, it's just amazing what our hair and makeup department and wardrobe and production design and props and special effects, it's just amazing what they can do in such a short turnaround. But everyone is such a professional, and they're just a great group of people to use as a resource. So I may come with an idea of how to do something, but it's in their area of expertise. I want to use them as a resource to figure out how to make this the best. So I love collaborating.
That's great. I wanted to ask you about, like, you talking here about acting and performing. I guess, like, all of you work with actors and performers, and are like all of these, SNL and all these shows have like really great performances amid all these things. And like you're talking about, like how moving that could be, and how kind of like incredible that is. I guess, like, when you guys were first starting out, like, what was the best? Did you get like advice, or like how did you kind of figure out, like, I don't know, how to approach actors, or like all those things? Like, how did that kind of, like, when did you like learn that was like such a obviously a great part of this profession, I guess, and like kind of working with actors? Like, was there like a moment that you were like, oh, that's a great, I finally figured this out, I guess? And Dearbhla, you want to start maybe? I don't know.
I think that's a great question, and I think you never fully know. I think it's a little bit like working with your family. You only know what you know at the time, and then later on, when you still speak to them the same way, they make it clear to you, don't speak to me like that, I'm a grown adult now. Or so it's a constant process of learning. But I think a really important part of the craft is finding how it is actors like to work. I've done a lot of dramas with ensemble casts, like Shameless and Penny Dreadful, Bad Sisters, and it's extraordinary how the one that it won't get better after second or third take, or the one that kind of wants 4 or 5 takes before it's good. So learning what their tics are. So I spend I invest a lot of time before we go on set, sitting one-to-one with the actor, page turning, and also talking about their process and how I can help them. And do you like to go first in close up or not? Or just also giving them ownership of, because, in a way, some actors really want to be directed and some actors don't. And it's really interesting learning what that, they want to do their thing, and you're there just to, just situate them. I mean, you're always obviously, because the story, they know the story from their character point of view, but everybody's. And I've had lots of situations where an actor's come, I don't need any direction, this is what I'll be doing, and that. And I went, okay, that's great, brilliant. And it's particularly interesting and episodic, and because I've come up through having been a later block and working your way up to being the lead block, I have found traditionally that in episodic, it's like working with children from a broken home. They've been with daddy for the first Monday to Friday, and now they're coming to mommy for the weekend, and they think dad's great, and you know, they've no interest in being with mum. And so they're resistant to everything. Well, this is the way we did it with dad. And then after I go, oh, actually, mum's not bad either. I think I think I might spend longer here. So it's a constant. I think it's like family. It's really all the strengths and weaknesses and dysfunctions and mistakes and vulnerabilities that you have within the family, because that's what it is. You're asking people to trust you and allow you to see, you know, that the bathroom door is open and you can see everything, and that's, you know, you're asking for trust. And so so you've got to earn that trust, give it to them, and you know, get it back from them. So that's so I'm still learning all of the time. Every actor is different, like every director. I think all of us can do, you know, different versions of the same job, and it's the same with cast. I mean, we've all been in that situation where this is who you want to cast, and you know, you end up there, and then you go, I couldn't imagine it with anybody else but this person. They grow into the part, and you grow into that role in the family.
Yeah. Anu, how about you?
I think that's a beautiful analogy. The bathroom door is open, you can see everything. It's a very beautiful sentiment. And yeah, I mean, and I'm so curious to learn from you all. I mean, every actor is different. I think that's the only constant is every actor is different. Every actor needs a different thing, and they need a different thing. They might not need the same thing day to day, different role. And so I'm constantly learning, constantly not getting it right, and then also adjusting based on what I think they need. And sometimes they don't always know what they need, because sometimes I'll ask them and they won't always know how they want to be directed, or they'll think they want to go first. And actually, so it's really a prayer I always say to myself before I start, especially as a guest. I mean, we're all talking about shows that, you know, we were doing the pilots for, so you kind of have a more established relationship with these actors, you have time to rehearse. But even as a guest director, I just say a prayer that I hope I'm just completely present with them and can hear them, give them what they need and also what they don't need, be a support. Because, you know, you want to be a sandbox with which, you know, you want to be like a safety net for them. Go off and play and try different things, but I am thinking about the larger story, and I will guide you and have you try different things and give us options so that you will never look stupid. You will never, you know, I promise you in this edit that you will be cared for, and that what you're giving to us is going to be seen and molded in the way that you feel is truthful to your performance. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really different. I mean, I literally sleep with my directing actors book by Judith Weston, and every day, because there's a new tool. You can use a new tool every goddamn day. It's really, I don't know. I'm like, how do you, yeah, I don't know. I want to hear from everybody else.
No, that's awesome. I love that. Olivia, how about you?
Shout out to Judith Weston. I was going to say that, well, I studied theater and I initially wanted to go into acting. And so I thought, well, I'll just direct actors the way that I would want to be directed. I know what would be useful for me as an actor, but it is so true that it is different for every actor. And luckily I fell flat on my face early on and understood that there isn't one. You can't come in with your methodology and just impose that on actors. And it's really about being open and conscious of trying to understand what is helpful and useful for them. And for me, I just, my hope always on set is to try to keep performances as spontaneous as possible, like to allow every take to feel fresh, and for the possibility of surprise, the possibility of, not knowing what will happen. You can do that. You can allow for that to happen in many ways, but I think, creating that space that's safe enough for anything to happen is where sometimes, magic occurs. One thing that I learned from Judith Weston is that it is okay not to have all the answers. And I think for a long time, I used to have this fear that if I didn't have the answer for everything, then somehow I was a lesser director. But actually being open about not knowing the answer and having a question that you and the actor are both trying to answer together is another way of being supportive. So shout out to Judith.
That's great.
Brilliant.
Liz, you have like, obviously you have a cast of a large cast of people who have either been on the show for a long time or somewhat new. And then you're also bringing in like new performers every week, new actors. And like you said, like Travis Kelce's not an actor, you know, like, and then you have like someone like Steve Martin, who is like a legend. I guess, like, how are you directing these performers and like, kind of like, yeah, like, how do you like, you must have to modulate, I'd imagine, like an individual basis, basically. I don't know. How do you do it?
Yeah, it's individual, and you know, the writers beforehand, you know, get to sit down with them because I don't have time. They get to sit down with them and, you know, and actually talk about their sketch and tell them their point of view and where it's coming from. So they kind of have a head start of which direction to go in, and then I just help guide and support. I think support is like the biggest thing. And you know, some of these actors want more, you know, want to understand more. Well, why am I doing this, or why am I crossing here? And sometimes in one of our sketches, we need them to get to a certain side because that's the only area where we could pull off this gag. So now we got to figure out a way that it makes sense to these actors. So it's just playing that role and just being supportive for them. And then I have a different shout out to Bethany Rooney and Mary Lou Belly, directors tell a story. Many years ago, I did a workshop at Warner Brothers for directing episodic. So, and it was just amazing to be in a room with directors, and everyone's going to have a different way of doing something and setting something up. Most of the time there's not a wrong way. There's a few wrong ways, but it was just an amazing experience to see so many different directors and apply what they know and what they do and see it work.
And it's been amazing listening to all of you talk about this stuff. I'm fascinated. The work is so great. We do have to wrap up, but Dearbhla Walsh, director of Bad Sisters, Anu Valia, director of Big Door Prize, Olivia Newman, director of The Last Thing He Told Me, and Liz Patrick, director of Saturday Night Live. Just great stuff. Thank you all so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
So nice meeting you all.
Thank you. Nice meeting you all.
As well.